Good evening, everyone. I see some familiar names, so thank you all for joining. I am Dulki from Sri Lanka, and the title of my discussion is Crimes Against Animals, a Sri Lankan Perspective. So this presentation is going to examine only 3 specific crimes in the context of animals in Sri Lanka, and they are enslavement, deportation or forcible transfer of population, and imprisonment. I have listed them down. So I'm going to take each of these crimes with examples to demonstrate why they should be considered as crimes against animals. To begin with, enslavement is evident in the forced labor of captive elephants used in tourism and religious rituals. And deportation or forcible transfer involves the displacement of animals from their natural habitats due to human-wildlife conflicts and deforestation. And in my discussion, I'm going to only focus on human-monkey conflict that is becoming a huge issue in Sri Lanka recently. And then finally, imprisonment is seen in the captivity of wild and domesticated animals where they suffer from restricted space in inhumane conditions. So Sri Lanka has laws like the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Ordinance number 13 of 1907 and the Fauna and Flora Protection Ordinance 1937 and its subsequent amendments. But what we have observed is that these laws are weak in enforcement and they fail to fully protect animals from these crimes that I'm going to focus today. And in this presentation, I'm going to highlight the limitation of these existing laws, discuss the cultural and legal gaps, and then I also aim to offer recommendations to strengthen animal protection in Sri Lanka. So, let's start off with the exploitation of elephants in tourism and religious ceremonies in Sri Lanka. But before going into the legal perspective, let me share some interesting characteristics of the Sri Lankan elephant, who is scientifically known as Elephas maximus maximus. So similar to other elephants, Sri Lankan elephants are highly intelligent, exhibiting complex behaviors and very strong social bonds. They live in matriarchal herds led by an older, experienced female. She plays a crucial role in guiding and protecting the group. The Sri Lankan elephant is the largest and the darkest among the 3 Asian elephant subspecies. So if you want to look at the largest Asian elephant species, Sri Lanka should be your destination. And unlike African elephants, Sri Lankan elephants have smaller ears, and notably the females do not have tusks. So this adaptation is thought to be an evolutionary response to reduce the risk of poaching. But still, unfortunately, their population is declining due to factors such as deforestation, habitat loss, and poaching. So, the discussion on laws protecting elephants in Sri Lanka is going to only focus on captive elephants who are protected by the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Ordinance number 13 of 1907. This ordinance is primarily designed to prevent the mistreatment and abuse of animals. And as you can see, it's 118 years old, and we have been trying to implement the proposed animal welfare bill for almost 18 years with no success yet. So we are hopeful for that. I'm not going to go into the details of these legal provisions. They are all listed down in the slide. For example, Section 2A offers general cruelty offenses such as beating, ill-treating, overriding, abusing, and torturing animals, which also include captive animals as well. In 2021, there was a very important regulation that was implemented, that is the Fauna and Flora Protection, Wellbeing, and regularization of registration of tamed elephants. This allows for the continued use of captive elephants for purposes such as historical, cultural processions, tourism, tourist safari rides, towing vehicles, transporting timber, cinema shoots, and other activities. But the issue is using captive elephants. Does it really, can we really say that we are giving them the best available protection while we are using them for human purposes? So now we are going to explore that. And obviously, we are going to refer to the 5 freedoms of animal welfare, which are listed in this slide. So freedom from hunger and thirst, freedom from fear and distress, freedom from discomfort, freedom from pain, injury, and disease, and the freedom to express normal behavior. So I am going to discuss each freedom with pictures and examples. So freedom from hunger and thirst is a fundamental aspect of animal welfare. And for wild elephants, meeting their nutritional needs involves extensive foraging and movement. It is reported that on average, a wild elephant can cover up to 50 miles in a day, actively searching for food sources such as trees, grasses, and vegetables. But captive elephants are only provided with trunks of coconut, banana, and kitul, which is another type of tree that is famous among elephants in Sri Lanka. So these are only edible branches of trees. And especially during the religious parades, so the elephants are supposed to wear a long dress, which you can see in this slide like this. After they are dressed, they do not have access to food or water, and these parades usually take hours. They start around, probably dressing starts around 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. and then goes until midnight. So this picture, this tusker is known as Muthuraja. And you can see how he has, he's been provided with coconut leaves and some kitul branches. And he was used as a temple elephant that is being like forced to move in, forced to travel in religious parades. He was actually a gift from Thailand. I really don't know why we have the need to bring elephants from other countries when obviously we have. I mean, that doesn't justify anything. But anyways, so he became very, very sick about 2 years ago. And unfortunately, we could not treat him. And the government of the Kingdom of Thailand were making like requests to send back the elephant. And this started campaigns, and finally he was flown back to Thailand, and I've heard that now he's being treated and he's living in a sanctuary. So a happy story for Muthuraja, or Saksurin, his name in Thai language. So now, freedom from fear and distress is going to focus on psychological suffering endured by captive elephants. Now, this first picture shows a baby elephant. So baby elephants are forcibly abducted from their mothers, causing immense mental distress and anxiety, and they continuously struggle to free themselves from chains, further intensifying their distress, as you can see in this first picture. And then they undergo great pain due to bull hooks and restrictive chains that limit their movements, which is depicted in the second picture. And these captive elephants, especially the ones who are used in religious parades, are compelled to walk barefoot on tar roads under the scorching sun, leading to discomfort and potential injury. And even the nighttime parades, as you can see in the third picture, they face distressing situations. They are surrounded by traditional fire lamps made of coconut shells and kerosene, causing fear as elephants are naturally frightened of fire. and the presence of whip crackers, drummers, and large crowds can further disturb these sensitive animals. So overall, these conditions subject the captive elephants to heightened level of fear and distress. Captive elephants experience various forms of physical discomfort as well. As previously discussed, they are often changed for long periods and restricting their movements, and which causes them physical discomfort, pain, and psychological distress. The first picture of this slide shows an elephant who is clearly agitated by chains, and the second picture shows temple elephants adorned with decorative clothes that are often embellished with heavy garments and light bulbs. So these clothes can impede the elephant's ability to regulate its body temperature by hindering sweat evaporation. And this can lead to overheating, especially in hot and humid climates like Sri Lanka. Are captive elephants subject to pain, injury, and disease? Well, as I already discussed, chains and bullhooks cause pain and injuries. The heavy use of chains can lead to injuries, wounds, and even deformities over time. Captive elephants are also required to carry a wooden structure with either the relics or people on their back when they are used in tourism or religious parades. And a study conducted by the Wildlife Conservation Research Unit of the University of Oxford has revealed that rides are not good for the welfare of elephants. And further research on the bone structure of the elephants have proved that carrying weights on their back is actually very harmful for them. The emaciated bodies of captive elephants are a distressing sight and often indicate severe neglect and mistreatment. This is a picture of Tikiri, who was forced to walk in parade despite looking like that and eventually succumbed to death. In 2021, also, there were reports that a captive elephant who was used in tourism died due to exhaustion. Captive elephants often face significant obstacles that prevent them from engaging in natural behaviors. So in captivity, bull elephants are often isolated from other elephants, particularly from females, due to the risk of aggression. And similarly, the separation of baby elephants from their mothers, which frequently occurs in captivity, disrupts the maternal care that are crucial for their development. And then the deprivation of social bonds and natural behaviors leads to a range of behavioral issues in captive elephants, including stereotypic behaviors such as swaying, pacing, or repetitive movements. These behaviors are often signs of stress and psychological distress. Such frustrated and stressed captive elephants can sometimes escalate into aggressive behavior, including attacks on mahouts and other elephants and stampedes during parades, as seen in these pictures. I want you to draw your attention. I want to draw your attention to the third picture. So according to AP experts, a socially excited elephant widens the eyes and rapidly flaps the ears, but a frightened elephant raises the tail and chin. And as you can see, this elephant in the third picture has raised his tail while he's running, which shows that he is scared. So this discussion showed that despite having legal protection, captive elephant used in tourism and religious parades in Sri Lanka undergo severe cruelties that affect their welfare. So what can we do to protect them? Due to cultural, religious, economic, and social value of captive elephants, the discussion on regulating the practice is a very delicate and a sensitive matter. So my recommendations start with the continued use of captive elephants while improving their welfare, and then how we can actually stop such cruel practices. These recommendations include granting more protection while using them as captive elephants, preparing guidelines, registration and training of mahouts, and establishing elephant sanctuaries. Strict regulations can ensure that captive elephants are not subject to cruelty at the hands of their custodians, caretakers, and mahouts. These mahouts must also be required to register and then obtain a license, and they must undergo training on handling the elephants, emergency care, prohibited practices, and etc. And elephant sanctuaries will be able to adhere to the needs of such captive elephants. So relevant authorities can take steps to build sanctuaries for captive elephants, which will provide them an opportunity to spend at least a certain period of the year interacting among their species and live the life of a wild elephant without the fear of chains and bullhooks. To prevent such exploitation of elephants, it is essential to raise awareness on captive elephants and their pitiful living conditions as a method of discouraging the present and future generations from continuing or participating in such practices. It is also recommended to suspend the issuing of licenses to capture wild elephants for domestication. As long as licenses and permits are issued to capture elephants, they will continue to suffer, and putting a full stop to this should be a long-term goal. And finally, alternatives for captive elephants used in religious parades. So this is an initiative that has been carried out in Kerala in India in the recent years. So Kerala temples are increasingly using robotic elephants in place of live elephants for their rituals. This makes a major step towards cruelty-free temple celebrations. And these pictures, this is one of the robotic elephant. So they are crafted from iron frames. And this project is supported by PETA, and this transition aims to eliminate animal suffering and encourages other temples to follow the same in an effort to protect elephants. So such alternatives should be considered in Sri Lanka as well, especially because captive elephants are widely used in Buddhist religious parades, a religion that is considered compassionate. Okay, now the discussion on mass displacement of wildlife due to human-wildlife conflicts and captivity of animals in inhumane conditions are not going to be lengthy discussions like the captive elephants scenario. So as I said earlier, mass displacement of wildlife due to human-wildlife conflicts is going to only focus on the human-monkey conflict in Sri Lanka. And I'm going to discuss about talk macaque monkey species. So they are also highly intelligent, and this is an endemic species. And there are 3 recognized subspecies in Sri Lanka. Sadly, they are currently listed as endangered on the IUCN Red List, with its population steadily declining due to habitat destruction and human-wildlife conflict. If you want to know more about the talk macaque monkeys, please watch the Disney documentary called Monkey Kingdom. It shows their complex social behaviors and adaptability. I'm sure you will enjoy it a lot. So in the recent years, human-monkey conflicts have increased. And okay, so these are the laws protecting talk macaque in Sri Lanka. They were protected by the Fauna and Flora Protection Ordinance number 2 of 1937 because they were listed in Schedule 3, which gives the list of wild animals absolutely protected during the both closed and open season. But the ordinance was later amended, and the 2009 amendment lists Macaca sinica, or the talk macaque monkey, in Schedule 1, which is the list of mammals and reptiles that are not protected. So this means currently the talk macaque monkey species does not have any legal protection in the country. So what happened in 2023? Now, in the recent years, human-monkey conflicts have increased, and the Agriculture Ministry claimed that there are more than 3 million talk macaques, monkeys. But the international experts are of the opinion that the talk macaques are decreasing in number over time, and they claim that the actual population is only around 200,000. In 2023, a request was made by Chinese representatives to send 100,000 talk macaque monkeys under the first phase to zoological gardens in India. This is according to the media reports. So this caused a public outcry, especially because people assumed that the monkeys would be used as meat or in experiments. And as I discussed before, the existing laws do not provide any protection for talk macaques. And something that we have failed to consider is that this is an endemic species that is only found in Sri Lanka, and that they are also considered endangered on the IUCN Red List. So exporting 100,000 would reduce the total population of talk macaques by half, which is a rapid decline. And according to Dr. Valli Puranathan, the rapid decline of these monkeys can affect the spread of plants they feed on and lead to an increase in lizards and small birds because these monkeys are known to feed on them. On the other hand, leopards, fishing cats, pythons, and mugger crocodiles, which are known to prey on these monkeys, will start looking for alternative prey, including domestic animals. So this means we will be interfering with nature in ways that we are not supposed to. About 2 months ago, there was a survey to count the population of all animals considered pests. But the reports suggest that this was not very successful. So how are we going to sort this monkey problem? One is controlling their population. So there are 2 methods to control their population. The first is sterilization. This has proven very successful in controlling the monkey population in Himachal Pradesh, India. This was carried out by the wildlife wing of the Himachal Pradesh Forest Department. And according to them, a female monkey can be sterilized in 1.5 minutes, and the male monkey's vasectomy takes also the same time. And their website provides guidelines for monkey sterilization, the design of trapping cages, and other relevant information. So we can make use of these existing resources, and if possible, conducting a training workshop with the team who carried out these surgeries would also be highly effective. And the second method involves giving female monkeys an oral immune contraceptive medicine called porcine zona pellucida, PZP. This method was also used by the Uttarakhand Forest Department in India. The only issue is that the effectiveness of this medicine lasts only for 3 years, so it would need to be administered continuously. The medicine can be laced onto fruits and left for the female monkeys. A similar method was successfully used in Switzerland to combat rabies, where vaccine-laced chicken heads were airdropped to immunize foxes, leading to the disease's eradication in 1999. And this innovative approach, relying on natural animal behaviors, has set a global standard for zoonotic disease control. And we could also adopt a similar strategy to control the monkey population. Both these methods require proper planning and execution. There should be clear guidelines for trapping the monkeys, conducting effective surgeries, providing proper post-surgery care, and then releasing them back into their territory. It is also important to understand that population control cannot be achieved within 1 year or 2 years after initiating these projects. It's going to take at least a minimum of 3 years to prove these methods successful. And therefore, during that time, alternatives to secure crops and agricultural lands from these monkeys should be managed as well. Some other recommendations are establishing monkey sanctuaries away from agricultural lands and raising awareness on toque macaque, especially their important role as an endemic species and their contribution to the ecosystems. These monkeys have learned to get food from pilgrims and tourists and can be frequently seen around temples and other tourist places in Sri Lanka. So all these interactions have led people to perceive that they are pests and assume that they are increasing in numbers. So environmentalists and zoologists play a vital role in enlightening the public and sharing information. Now, our final point is captivity of wild and domesticated animals in inhumane conditions, or we can call it as imprisonment of animals. This is actually a vast topic, and I'm just going to briefly go through important points. In Sri Lanka, captive wild animals are managed both by the state and private entities. For example, state-managed facilities include the Dehiwala Zoo, Pinnawala Elephant Orphanage, Pinnawala Zoo, Safari Park Ridiyagama, and the Udawalawa Elephant Transit Home. And privately owned establishments such as the Bird Park in Hambantota and Kalaniya and Guruge Nature's Park, and there are various turtle hatcheries which all house a range of captive turtles. In addition to these, there are domesticated captive animals kept by individuals or institutions across the country. And I'm going to focus on wild animals held captive in state-managed entities, and particularly the Pinnawala Elephant Orphanage located in Kerala, Sri Lanka, and the Dehiwala Zoo. So, needless to say, the term Elephant Orphanage appeals to the emotions of the tourists. It is a popular destination for both locals and tourists, offering a rare opportunity to observe. It was established in 1975 by the Sri Lankan Department of Wildlife Conservation, and it serves as a sanctuary for the orphaned, injured, and abandoned elephants. As of 2023, the elephant is home to 71 elephants, including 30 males and 41 females, spanning 3 generations. One key aspect of the Pinnawala Elephant Orphanage is that the elephants are not rehabilitated and released back to the wild. The facility runs a captive breeding program, which has seen 75 captive birds by 2023, and food and have remained within the orphanage. So let's investigate whether the captive elephants at Pinnawala are being properly cared for, or if they are subjected to cruelty and mistreatment. I conducted a Google search, and here are some of the articles I came across. Why we don't support Pinnawala Elephant Orphanage by responsible travel. Here's why you should never visit Pinnawala Elephant Orphanage. Pinnawala in Sri Lanka, the orphanage we do not recommend. And the sad truth, Pinnawala Elephant Orphanage in Kandy. And these are some pictures from Pinnawala showing how elephants are mistreated in the name of conservation. They suffer from obesity after being fed by visitors, which allows the mahouts to earn extra money. Tourists come in close proximity to the elephants, especially the baby elephants who are exposed to the tourists. The tourists also have access to bathing activities and then take pictures. And then these elephants are chained for life, and the mahouts use bullhawks to control them. And compared to the Pinnawala Elephant Orphanage, I personally recommend the Udawalawa Elephant Transit Home, which actually rescues baby elephants, rehabilitates them, and then releases them back into the wild. So our next example is the Dehiwala Zoo, and these are some pictures from the Dehiwala Zoo. They do not belong to me. None of the pictures in this presentation belong to me. And I especially admire the photographers of these pictures for exposing the truth behind the doors. So the first picture shows the space that is available for the giraffes. The second picture is of the lions during the COVID-19 lockdown, when the zoo administration was claiming that they could not afford to feed the animals. The third picture is a lion cub who is exposed to the public. The fourth is a camel who is suffering from skin rashes. And the last picture is a bear who is lonely and like he doesn't look so healthy. So I really question how this can amount to wildlife conservation and education when clearly these animals are mistreated and suffering. There are no 5 freedoms of animal welfare available for these tortured animals in these facilities. So how to protect captive wild and domestic animals in Sri Lanka, it is crucial to implement laws mandating animal welfare, raise public awareness about the realities of captivity, and of course, recognize the rights and sentience of all animals. At the same time, promoting safaris and responsible wildlife tourism offers a sustainable alternative because Sri Lanka is home to rich and diverse wildlife. These photos are some of the breathtaking animals in the island that are found in the national parks. So by encouraging people to experience animals in their natural habitats, we can reduce the demand for captivity, support real conservation efforts, and foster a deeper appreciation for the country's natural heritage. In conclusion, while Sri Lanka is celebrated for its rich biodiversity and cultural heritage, it is clear that our treatment of animals, both wild and domestic, raises serious ethical, legal, and environmental concerns. From the exploitation of elephants in tourism and religious events to the displacement of endemic species like toque macaque and the confinement of animals in state-run and private facilities, we are witnessing systemic failures in ensuring the welfare and dignity of these sentient beings. But there is still hope through awareness, advocacy, and action. Thank you very much.